Ivan says, going back to what you said about how we use extroverted functions to build connections, I realize I probably try to use my extroverted thinking to build romantic connections, getting to know potential partners. But I'm not sure how to do this well, and results have been poor. So how to use and train extroverted thinking in this area? Or just resort to extroverted sensing? INTJ, Enneagram 5, Sexual 5. What I've noticed is that for a lot of people who have extroverted thinking, they build connections by doing things together. And building systems for the people that they love. So again, there's two ways in which I experience love from Joel when he's using his extroverted thinking. One of them is that he just handles stuff for me. There's many things that Joel just handles that I don't even have to think about. Like they just sort of magically happen around me. And I'm very grateful for those things when I think, when I think about them. Sometimes it just magically happens and it's so out of sight because it's just happening around me that I forget to be grateful. But when I really stop to think about all of the systems that he's set up in my behalf, I feel really loved. I feel very connected to him because he's freed me up to be connected to him. He's freed me up for the wonderful conversations that we have, or for in this situation, he's done all the production. So I'm able to just communicate, and we're doing this thing together, right? We're in this together. And so we're doing this project and he's just handled all these systems. I think that's one way in which a person can connect. Now, one of the challenges with that extroverted thinking is that it can get very controlling, right? It has an idea of how it wants something to play out, and it wants it to play out that way. And when it doesn't, it can get a little triggered and it can get upset. And then now the person is upset with the other person for interrupting their system, and now a fight ensues. So what started out as an attempt to connect with the person and have it be like a really good thing, now all of a sudden has turned into a source of tension and maybe complication. So I think using the extroverted thinking function to connect with another person, and recognizing that connection is part of the node of this system. It's one of the things you're trying to accomplish. So when extroverted thinking basically has to start with the end in mind. And if you only have the project itself as the end in mind, and you're enlisting all of these people, when they're derailing from the project end game, then you're going to be upset with them and it's not going to create connection. If part of the end game is connection, right? Doing things together, working together side by side, setting up these systems together. If the connection part is the end game, then if things go off the rails or mess up, or you're not going to get to the deadline fast enough or whatever, well, that wasn't the end game anyway. It was connection to begin with, or at least that was a big chunk of it. And so then now it's not a source of tension. Now you're still like, oh, we had a problem, or a monkey wrench got thrown in. Well, let's work together to get this monkey wrench out and solve it together. And now it's more of a chill vibe. So I think those are the two things: working on projects together and setting up systems for the people you love so that you just have it handled and they can lean into you. And so I would say try to focus on, when it is a project together, to have connection be the pass fail, right? That end game is your pass fail criteria. Connection is the end game. Did you pass? Then that means that you did a good job of being a little bit more flexible in how you got there.
So I'll offer this too for INTJs. We're doing a lot of talking about INTJs. We need to talk about INTPs too.
Yep.
But for INTJs, there's this notion that that romance, falling in love, is all the same thing. And we've already talked about earlier today about this notion between connection and intimacy, and we've kind of separated those out almost from an INTP side, from the harmony side. And I think that's informative to see there's a little bit of a difference here. And we talk a lot about INTJs struggling with role-person merger. I think it's because INTJs instinctively know that extroverted thinking, that TE, effectiveness process, instinctively knows in some ways role-person merger is not wrong. In other words, the connection, the falling in love, the falling in love, the first initial connection might be around what you are as a person. But your introverted feeling wants to be loved and have affection for who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. So connection, the initial connection, the romance, the attraction, the falling in love might be from the other person. They might fall in love with what you are, the kind of status you've built, the kind of systems you have in your life, the type of life you've constructed around you, the markers of success, the measurements on the outside world. That's what they might fall in love with, the what you are. And it's my belief that people stay in love for who you are.
Yeah.
So the attractors are some of the and this is why I think INTJs struggle with, I don't feel ready to go out there yet and date because I got to get stuff in order, or I struggle with the role person merger. It's because it's a projection of what you are kind of mixed with who you are, and it's hard for you to get a sense of the separation there. So I think the connection, the falling in love happens with what you are, and then the staying connected, the intimacy is built on the who you are at the 10-year-old or tertiary level in your introverted feeling. And it can be confusing if you lead with who you are in the outer world. That's not a game you necessarily know how to play very well. You might have attracted somebody into your life or have some romance and connection with that, but I think that's a harder road to go down for an INTJ. So I think just thinking about those two things kind of in tandem, and you need both. I think people fall in love with what we are and who we are. I think that's part of it, but typically they fall in love with what we are first, and then they realize who we are, and that's what keeps that deeper connection and intimacy over the long term.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's dead on, I think. And leading with the people should love me for